What's up, YouTube? We back in another reaction. Airplay Beats, La and Chi. And today we got Behind the Music for Led Zeppelin.
Okay. What album is it?
It's just Behind the Music altogether.
Oh, the VH1 series.
Yeah.
We had music on there.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We might hear something on this.
Yeah.
In the 1970s, Led Zeppelin was probably the biggest rock band in the world, and one of the most mysterious. Zeppelin's music was exotic, slightly menacing. The band rarely did interviews. They kept their distance from the music business. The critics didn't like them, but the audience sure did. Zeppelin made millions of fans and changed rock forever, but they paid a terrible price. Led Zeppelin are legends. This is their story.
One of the greatest rock and roll bands in the world.
In actual fact, each album is very different.
There was just nothing like us at the time.
It was tripping the light fantastic.
JPJ? Yup, never seen him.
Yeah, he's real mysterious.
This is gonna be
Jimmy
great.
Page was born in 1944 and grew up in a suburb of London near Heathrow Airport. He took up guitar after hearing an Elvis Presley record. Like many young Britons, he got swept up in the skiffle craze of the late 50s.
Well, mama don't allow no skiffle down here. Oh, no, she don't. Mama don't allow no skiffle down in here. Well, we don't care what mama don't allow. Gotta play that skiffle anyhow. Mama don't allow no skiffle down in here.
Now then, you're called what?
JT Skiffle Group.
And you come from?
Epsom.
What are your two names? Yours is?
James Page and...
David House. Both from Epsom. Well, what are you going to do when you leave school? Take up skiffle?
No, I want to do, biological research.
Do you? I knew that already. In fact, what do you mean by biological research?
Well, cancer, if it isn't discovered by then.
Page went to art school, but soon realized that music was his true calling. He started jamming at various clubs around London. Word got around, and by the age of 20, Page was a top session guitarist, recording with the likes of The Who, The Kinks, and Them. By mid-1966, Page had his fill of session work. He accepted an invitation to join the Yardbirds on bass. The Yardbirds had begun as an electric blues band, featuring a brilliant young guitarist named Eric Clapton. When the group went pop, Clapton left and was replaced by another guitar virtuoso, Jeff Beck. Before long, Page moved from bass to guitar.
I started on the bass.
This is already starting off at 100 miles per hour.
It is, and the crazy thing is about it, everyone they're mentioning, I know who they're talking about.
So
that's the great thing about it.
So it's gonna be great.
We know how big Jeff Beck and the Yardbirds,
Eric Clapton.
Like we know who those groups are from doing the reaction. So this is great.
This is the perfect timing for us.
Crazy thing though, no one like all the Led Zeppelin conversations we've had with subs and things like that. No one ever mentioned that they didn't do interviews and they were mysterious like that. I would have never known. I would have never known.
But that's what it seems like though. We don't know.
I never got that from that, but
because I haven't seen too many interviews pop up on YouTube after doing all of this.
That's true. That's true.
Just to help them out, and then we got into the dual lead guitars, and it was fantastic.
Jeff Beck had ambitions beyond the Yardbirds. He put together a session featuring Jimmy Page, a studio musician named John Paul Jones, and Who drummer Keith Moon. It sounded great, and the musicians talked about forming a new band. Moon joked that if they did, they should call the group Led Zeppelin because it would go over like a lead balloon. In late 1966, Jeff Beck quit the Yardbirds, leaving Jimmy Page by himself in the lead guitar.
Hold on.
What'd he say?
Moon said that from The Who.
Oh, you should call him
Moon
Led.
was in the band with JPJ and man, hold on. This is gonna be I gotta get my notebook out, man.
lead guitars, and it was fantastic.
Jeff Beck had ambitions beyond the Yardbirds. He put together a session featuring Jimmy Page, a studio musician named John Paul Jones, and Who drummer Keith Moon. It sounded great, and the musicians talked about forming a new band. Moon joked that if they did, they should call the group Led Zeppelin because it would go over like a lead balloon. In late 1966, Jeff Beck quit the Yardbirds, leaving Jimmy Page by himself in the lead guitar spotlight.
When Jeff left, and we carried on, well, the pure nature of the band, they had numbers that, you know, you could really stretch out in. And during the time that I was in there, it's just the guitar. Then it was a four-piece.
Around this time, the Yardbirds acquired a new manager. His name was Peter Grant. And before he took control of the group, he received a cautionary warning from their outgoing manager.
Peter, he said, there's only one big problem with the band. There's a guy and he's a real smart ass, a real wise guy. I said, oh really? Who's that? He said, Jimmy Page. So I said, oh, I see. And I sort of ripped past. I thought, he must know I know Jimmy since 1962, 63. So when I met with the Yardbirds, I said to Jimmy, I hear you're a troublemaker and a pain. I've got to get rid of you. What have you been up to?
Peter Grant was an imposing figure, a former pro wrestler who had grown up in the streets. Nobody crossed him twice. He had previously worked as UK tour manager for acts like the Everly Brothers. Grant saw all the ways musicians were ripped off by promoters, agents, and record companies. He was not going to let it happen to his boys. Grant and Page saw eye to eye from day one.
That's a good manager right there.
In 19...
What'd you say?
That's the type of manager you want.
Hell yeah, he gonna strong arm you.
Yeah,
he'll put you in one of them pay us.
He's gonna make sure you pay before you touch the stage.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Man, did you see his body?
He looked like a professional wrestler.
He'll tear your ass up.
Yeah, he looked like that.
In 1967, the Yardbirds were performing the trippy I'm Confused, a variation of a song called Dazed and Confused from an album by Jake Holmes. Page produced eerie sounds by trailing a violin bow across his guitar strings. It would become the song's trademark.
We saw that performance.
Page had breathed new life into the Yardbirds, but the original members were tired, disillusioned, and feeling that their best days were behind them. The other Yardbirds quit in the summer of 1968. Grant got them to sign ownership of the Yardbirds' name over to Jimmy Page.
And there was a big row. And I sat down and drafted the thing out, and that's when they signed the name of the Yardbirds over to Jimmy Page.
And I know, well, if she had me back again, well, I would never make her sad. I'm not a
He was doing real business.
No, did they think that they were going? No, did they think that they were going to fight him for that?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Oh, right. Oh, you're saying that he was Suge Knight back then.
Yeah, he was going to take that name.
He was going to take it regardless. I see what you're saying.
Or you're going to end up with one of these.
He was the Suge Knight of back then. Right. He wasn't asking, he was taking. But yeah, that's crazy. They all left him, so he took that name.
This is great.
Yeah, that's crazy.
How did we miss this one?
That is crazy.
I just really wanted to carry on rocking, you know. I had this great, stockpile of, material in my mind and sort of songs and riffs that I'd got written down on tape at the time. So it was really handy, yeah. I knew what way I wanted the group to go as well, if I could get a group together. Fortunately, I did.
Jimmy Page and Peter Grant looked at what was happening in British rock. It was the year of the Power Trio, Cream, the Jimi Hendrix Experience. The Jeff Beck Group and The Who were guitar trios fronted by good-looking blonde singers. Page went looking for a charismatic frontman. He heard about a kid from the country called Robert Plant.
I was playing at a teacher's training college in Birmingham, and I had a telegram saying that the guitarist from the Yardbirds wanted to come and see me. I thought somebody was pulling my leg.
When Page first heard Plant perform, he saw a 19-year-old kid with flowing blonde hair and incredible bravado. He found Plant's vocal range unbelievable. But Page figured that Robert must have a rotten personality. Why else was he not already successful? Soon Page got to know Plant and found him charming and witty. He knew he had hit the jackpot.
Jimmy had traveled America and he was somewhat of a star, so I was walking into somebody's home who'd been around and was that much older than me and had an American woman there, scantily dressed and gorgeous. And there I am with an old battered suitcase going, "What-o, mate?"
Plant urged Page to check out his pal and teenage bandmate John Bonham. There was no drummer like him.
Jimmy rang me up and said, like, I thought, this is unusual. Jimmy calling me, spending money on the call. He said, I saw a drummer, heard a drummer last night. He said, he's so unbelievable, we just got to get him. And that was John Bonham.
The son of a carpenter, John Bonham was born in 1948 and grew up near Robert Plant. His mother bought him his first drum at the age of 10. As a teenager, he knew the meaning of hard work. He also knew that playing the drums was the only thing he was really good at.
Did you notice what they said? They said the other bands, when they broke off, like the Beck and the other guys broke off, they would get the singer with the long flowing blonde hair.
Yeah.
So
they
did that by design to get him.
Yeah, that was
everyone else has black hair. Look.
Oh, yeah, you can make it with brunette
crazy.
hair.
That is wild. That's crazy.
You got to get a Plant, man.
That's crazy.
The Who.
Or dye your hair.
The Who had the long blonde hair.
Yeah.
Come on. That was it.
That's the thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Bonham had worked construction, building up enormous strength that he loaded into his drum playing. Offstage, he was a hard-drinking, hard-living wild man. His outrageous antics would earn him the nickname Bonzo. His explosive drumming would set a new standard for rock and roll.
My wife happened to see an item in Disc magazine which said that Jimmy Page was forming a band. And she says, "You're going mad doing all these sessions, like, call him up, see if he needs a bass player."
John Paul Jones was born John Baldwin to a musical family in 1946. As a teenager, he fell under the influence of jazz bassist Charles Mingus. By 1965, he was one of the top session bassists and arrangers in London. The records he arranged for Herman's Hermits sold 12 million copies. He just had a big international hit playing on Donovan's Hurdy-Gurdy Man.
First time we ever played together was in a tiny room in Gerrard Street. When I turned up and got the address, and they said, we all looked at each other and said, "Well, what should we play?" So I said, "Well, what do you know?" I said, "Well, I don't know anything, I'm doing sessions all day." So they said, "Well, we do a number with the Yardbirds called The Train Kept Rolling." I said, "Great, how does it go?" "Oh, well, it sort of starts in this and it goes there." "All right." So 3, 4, and literally the room just exploded. It was like the most thrilling thing ever.
Page and Jones, the two studio pros, jammed for several weeks at Jimmy's home with Plant and Bonham, the kids from the Sticks. It was an unusual marriage of innocence and experience. Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, and manager Peter Grant were ambitious professionals who saw an opening and were ready to do whatever it took to win. Plant and Bonham were boys from the North Country, excited to be along for the ride. Page, Plant, Jones, and Bonham embarked on a short tour of Scandinavia as the new Yardbirds. The power these four created on stage was beyond anything the Yardbirds had approached. By the time they returned to England, they had a new name. They were Led Zeppelin.
Everybody passed through the Yardbirds, huh?
This is gonna be epic.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I finally know what JPJ looks like.
I know. Every time we watch him
I still
live,
might never rember until
every
the next
time live, his hair is always in his face, or it's dark.
This
you can't really see him.
is amazing.
Yeah, no, the Yardbird part got me.
I kind of knew about it from the comments, but this is putting it all together for me, and it's making a whole bunch of more sense now.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, this is gonna be a good one.
Plant and Bonham were friends.
Yeah. He brought him along.
He lived down the street from him or something.
He brought him along. Yeah, they were in a band together. He was in the local teenage band. So
this is great.
And they were all getting money before they even got together. They were all.
Yeah, they were already there.
Yeah, JPJ was on a 12 million selling record.
And with a manager like that,
You can bogart your way through the industry.
Oh,
And
man.
that's what they did.
You can do whatever the hell you want
That's what they did.
with that manager.
That's him talking too, right? Later on in age, isn't that
I
him?
think so.
Yeah, it looks
It
like
look
him.
like him.
Yeah, it does.
Man, is he still around?
I don't know. This is probably a little older, but I don't know.
We
I
need
have
to
no
call
idea.
him up and see what else he can do for us.
He still can push some buttons, huh?
Man.